and welcome to Your Voice. My name is Lee Jones, and I serve as the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Instruction in the College of Education right here at Florida State University. We have a very exciting show for you in our 10th season right here on Your Voice. We are discussing crack and cocaine. What's the difference? And here to discuss that with us, no other than Mr. Garry Jones, who is Lieutenant with the Correction. Right?
Yes, at the FCI.
FCI.
Right here on Capitol Circle.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for joining us, man. And we may be related down the road somewhere.
I think we are.
Yeah, Garry Jones, you know. There's so many Joneses around, who knows?
That's
you know,
correct.
everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses, right?
That's right.
And we're trying to keep up with this really important topic that we have today, and we're talking about crack and cocaine and what's the difference. And there is a big difference, and we're going to talk about so much in the next 26 minutes. I know we won't be able to get to all of it, but we're going to talk about crack and cocaine. First and foremost, we know that crack and cocaine, they have the same effect in terms of outcome. But tell us what the difference is.
Okay. Let me tell you, it's really no difference between crack and cocaine. And the reason I say this is, okay, you cannot have crack unless you have the powder.
Right.
And cocaine is derived from cocoa plants, cocoa paste, and it's not grown in this region, in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to make crack, you have to get the cocaine powder and mix it up with baking soda and cook it up and get little rocks.
Right.
So basically it's the same drug, but the reason I wanted to come on this show and explain things to you is because it's the same drug, but you are getting two different sentences from the same drug. And let me just give you an example. Okay, if I leave out of the studio now and the police arrest me for a DUI, a DWI, and when I blow into the alcohol sensor, it doesn't say whether or not I've been drinking wine, it doesn't say whether or not I've been drinking beer, it doesn't say whether or not I've been drinking liquor. Right. It just say you're intoxicated. And if you have a drug overdose and they do an autopsy, they're not going to say crack was in your body. They'll say cocaine was in your body. Right. So it's basically the same. But you have, you get different sentences. And let me tell you how it all started. Sure. I don't know whether or not you remember back in 1986. Len Bias, basketball player, played with Maryland, got drafted by Boston Celtics in the first round. He died of a cocaine overdose. He didn't die of a crack overdose, it was a cocaine overdose. So Congress was getting a lot of pressure to try to crack down this war on drugs. So they came up with a solution. Okay, let's get rid of these drugs. Let's stop the drugs from coming into our country. So they enacted a couple of laws called the crack and cocaine law back in 1986. And the point I want to make now, in 1987, they abolished the parole in the federal system. So they came up with the 100-to-1 ratio, meaning that you are going to receive a sentence 100 times greater for having crack than regular powder cocaine. And the only way I can give this example is, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, but before you do that, before you, demonstrate the differences between that, I just had a couple of other questions. One is, why is it that you get a greater sentence if you have crack versus cocaine? Well, I mean, we have a theory about that.
Okay, they have a theory, and they come up with this assumption stating that if you're doing crack cocaine, it induces violence. It's caused a lot of violence. Right. The high is very short, and when the high is very short, and also it's readily available. It's easy to get to.
Right. But like you said, though, Garry, you cannot have the crack without the cocaine, the powder.
That's correct.
So we know that, for example, I was reading some information that African Americans make up about...
Okay. Yes, I know exactly what you were talking about. Okay, in the United States, African American make up about 12.5% of the population.
Right, which is about 33 million.
Right. And the white American make up 83.5% of the population. And the rest is other, as far as Hispanics.
Right.
So therefore, if you take a geographical location, say for instance Tallahassee, I don't know the makeup of the geographical thing, but say for instance, if Tallahassee is made up of 75% whites and 25% blacks,
Right.
meaning that as far as jobs, 75% whites should have jobs and 25% blacks should have jobs also.
Right.
But when you get to blacks in the United States in the prison system,
Right.
We got 84.5% blacks make up the population in the prison system, and about 10.1% whites make up the population. The rest is other, as far as Hispanics. So, you know, there is some racist disparities as far as the sentencing.
Right. But now that's a very high percentage of people. I mean, we know for a fact that there are more African American males, for example, in jails are connected with the penal system than they are on college campuses across the country. And so when it comes to this whole disparity with crack and cocaine, this is something that really needs to be addressed. Now, how are we addressing that? I mean, I know that's such a broad question. I know that Kwesi Mfume, who's the president of the NAACP, has been addressing it, and I know that that was one of the agenda items when they met here in our own state in Florida this past summer. But how is the Congress addressing this issue?
Okay. We have one congressman, one House of Representatives, a lady named Patsy Mink of Hawaii. Now, she was trying to introduce the bill as far as bringing parole back into the system. And we'll get to her in a minute.
Right.
But Congress, back in 1984, Congress decided to get a group of, get an organization called United States Sentencing Commission.
Right.
And they wanted this organization to do a study and to determine whether or not we have racial disparity in the sentencing laws. So back in 1995, after they concluded their studies, they came up with overwhelming evidence that there is disparity in sentencing law, and it's affecting African Americans. So they suggest to Congress that you should change it and make it fair, make it on a level playing field. Because if you think about it, crack cocaine is the only drug that has a mandatory minimum sentence for your first-time offense.
And let me pause you right there to say that there's a higher percentage of African Americans who do use drugs that use crack cocaine. And so obviously one could deduce that there will be obviously a major disparity in the numbers of those who will be going to jail, which would be African American.
That's correct.
Oh, in a mandatory sentence.
Mandatory sentence. But if you think about it, it's 2/3 of crack users are white.
Two-thirds of crack users are white.
Right. But if you think about it in those terms, like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, that's because they outnumber us about 12 to 1.
Sure.
And see, that number it's correct in a sense, but if I don't explain it to you, you know, people.
Well, numbers can be manipulated and that type of thing. Yeah.
Because I hear that all the time. You know, where it's more whites on crack cocaine than blacks, but no one ever explains it.
Right. Right. It's just like there are more white people on welfare. But you never get to that point.
Right. You know.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. We have so much to talk about, but let me ask you this: when one uses crack, the mandatory sentence is a minimum of 5 years.
If you get caught with the intent to distribute crack cocaine, 5 grams or more, the minimum mandatory sentence is 5 years.
Right, and 5 grams is about what, 50,000?
No, 5 grams of crack.
Right.
It's $500.
$500 worth.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And if you think about it, if a person have 5,000 grams or 500 grams of powder cocaine that's worth $50,000, they can get up to probation all the way up to 5 years.
That's the maximum is 5 years.
Right.
The minimum of 5 grams of crack is a 5 year.
You're looking at $50,000 versus $500.
Right.
And the person to have crack and the amount is $500. They, the sentence, you automatically get 5 years in prison. That's just the federal prison. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at a bit difference. I mean, we're talking about 5 grams.
Right.
$500. And they're going to take 5 years of your life for the first time offense. 5 years of your life. I don't care whether or not you have a speeding ticket. You can be perfect. But Congress, came up with the laws. And that's why we're trying to get it.
So let me make sure I understand this now. I've never used drugs. I do not intend to use drugs. I feel like I have a pretty natural high, I'm sure, as well as you. So I want to make sure I understand you. So if I'm caught with 5 grams of crack
cocaine.
And now I do have one speeding ticket, I have to tell you. I got one speeding ticket a couple years ago. I was late for a meeting. And you mean I get a minimum of 5 years? Automatic.
Automatic. Congress got the laws set up where, you can't do anything about it. As a matter of fact, when I say you can't do anything about it, Congress got the judges where they can't do anything about it. They have a guideline that they have to go by. So, you have judges that are reluctant to give out these sentences because of that. They have judges speaking out because, they're tired of it. I mean, it's just, they're giving away entirely too much sentence for just the little amount of drugs that's coming in.
What I want you to show our viewers, because there are some people who are watching the show who have never, which is a good thing, in a sense, never seen crack, have never seen cocaine. Now, you have some, not the original. Not the original. Let me be real clear. This is not the original drug, okay? This is flour that is a replica, possibly, of crack. So why don't you show us that right here? And what we'll do is we'll put it right here, if you would just show us what that,
I would like to introduce this. This is regular flour.
Right.
And like you
say
said,
it one more time.
Flour.
Okay.
Cooking flour, and it's a replica of cocaine.
Right.
And I don't want to offend the drug users or the dealers out there, but I estimate this to be like 500 grams of powder cocaine.
Okay.
Okay. And 500 grams is worth $50,000.
Right.
Okay. Now right here, some soap.
Say it again.
Soap.
Okay.
Dow.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right.
And I estimate this is 5 grams of crack cocaine. And this is worth.
Which is this is cooked.
Yeah.
This is cooked. Right.
Right.
Okay.
So you take the powder cocaine.
Right.
And you mix it up with baking soda.
Right.
And then you put it up in a little pot and cook it up, and then it turn into substance like this.
Right.
But what people are used to, they're used to rocks. Because you can't put all that in the crack pipe.
Right.
They put this soap also.
Right.
They can't put all this in the, you can put this in your crack pipe and smoke it up. Now, you're not going to get sentenced for just having your rocks right here. You're going to get sentenced for having at least 5 grams of crack cocaine.
Right.
And that's a mandatory. In the federal system, it's mandatory.
Right.
You will receive 5 years automatic.
Right.
So if you go out there and get you a lawyer, it doesn't make a difference. You need to keep your money. You don't need to waste it.
Right.